Syria welcomes the statement of the Tehran consultative meeting and initiatives to help Syria overcome the crisis away from foreign intervention. The Syrian army carries out operations against armed groups. And the editor of the German magazine Combat exposes part of the false reports in mass media concerning Syria. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This just in. A military source stated that one of our combat training aircraft sustained a malfunction, damaging the navigation system in it, which caused the pilot to eject himself from the plane over the eastern region of Syria. The search is still ongoing for the pilot.
Because they feed on lies and false reports, they were frightened by the truth. So they targeted the Syrian mass media, which exposed their criminal intentions. A terrorist group murdered journalist Ali Abbas of the Syrian Arab news agency SANA. They killed him in cold blood in his house. This attack on our national information is the responsibility of the imperialist Oil-Turkish alliance. The alliance instigated the explosion inside the building of the General Directorate of Radio and Television and the Syrian News Channel. The terrorists kidnapped photographer Talat Jimbakli and his colleague Mohammed Said. They also targeted their colleague Karim Shaybani. Many organizations and bodies denounced the systematic crimes against Syrian mass media. Yemeni Al-Fajr Press condemned the silence of Arab and international mass media and human rights organizations about those crimes. The Syrian Human Rights Network also condemned this crime, considering it as a flagrant violation of human rights and freedom of expression. Our kith and kin in the occupied Golan asserted that such crimes came against to the background of the Western sanctions imposed on Syria. These fabrications by mercenary Arab and Western channels are intended to disrupt Syria's stability.
Syria welcomed the statement of the consultative meeting on Syria, which was held in Tehran on August 9th. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that it followed with interest the contents of the meeting, aimed at consolidating regional and international efforts to help Syria find a solution to the crisis on the basis of implementation of the 6 items of the Kofi Annan plan, and to prepare the suitable ground for a national dialogue in a peaceful environment. The Ministry expressed gratitude for the Islamic Republic of Iran and all the participating countries which relied on the principle of defending right against wrong and supporting the legitimate demands of the Syrian people through dialogue away from any foreign intervention in Syria's internal affairs. The Ministry asserted that it would continue to build on such positive initiatives and to remain in touch with the countries concerned. Security forces confronted an armed terrorist group in the Zahra complex area in Aleppo. They killed and injured a large number of them and destroyed the cars that were equipped with machine guns in their possession. The competent authorities also pursued an armed terrorist group on the Damascus-Aleppo highway as they were trying to cut off the road. The competent authorities raided the hideout of armed terrorist groups in Manshiyat Khan al-Sheikh in Damascus countryside, based on information provided by the citizens in the area, killing a number of terrorists and seizing a quantity of various weapons. The weapons seized included RPG launchers, Israeli-made rifles, explosive charges, and advanced communication devices. On the basis of information from Syrian citizens in Damascus, the security forces discovered and captured a tunnel in one of the ancient quarters of Damascus. The security forces discovered the hideouts used by terrorists, including tunnels within a house containing various kinds of weapons, including machine guns, large amounts of ammunition, and Israeli-made bombs. The security forces also captured night binoculars, advanced communication sets, and maps showing vital targets. Units of our armed forces hunted an armed terrorist group in Jurat Shayah and Homs city, killing a large number of mercenaries and terrorists and injuring others, also destroying a warehouse for weapons and ammunition. In Al-Shammas in Homs, 3 children were killed by terrorist gangs when a terrorist group targeted a civilian bus on the Damascus highway and fired missiles on the Armenian quarter in the city.
This child did not know that the bullets of the traitors would deprive her of her sister Manal after she left Al-Shammas with her family in order to avoid the crimes of the armed terrorists. A terrorist group opened fire on a small bus. This led to the death of the 11-year-old child Ammar al-Azzo and Aya Iyad al-Azzo, 6 years old, and Manal Talal al-Shami, 11 years old, and the wounding of 8 others. Our valiant armed forces chased the mercenary terrorists, killing and wounding a number of them and capturing others. The meeting between the army and the inhabitants of the Armenian quarter in Homs was targeted by the missiles of the criminal terrorists. Our armed forces continued their national task of purging our homeland from the mercenaries who sold their honor for money. The Syrian people will bring to account those who supported the terrorists.
The governor of Homs, Mr. Ahmad Munir Mahmoud, visited the wounded victims targeted by the terrorist gangs in Al-Shammas. He asserted that they were targeted by non-Islamic thoughts which have nothing to do with the noble values of Islam. The governor called for the acceleration of restoring the necessary services and repairing the damage in schools before the start of the coming academic year. The people asserted that most vital services had become available. They called upon the inhabitants of these quarters to return home. And in a related context, the governor of Homs visited Al-Nazihi neighborhood and checked the services there after clearing it from the armed terrorist groups which wreaked havoc in it.
Out of keenness by Homs governorate to make the residents come back to their homes enjoying security and public services, Governor of Homs toured Al-Nazihi neighborhood and evaluated the bulk of public and private damages which were left by the armed terrorist groups there. The governor also inspected the repair works of the electricity grid in the neighborhood. He also checked the regular distribution of gas by the gas public company. Then he visited Al-Nazihin bakery and praised the quality of bread there. He listened to the residents who updated him on the services conditions.
Thank God, things are better. They removed the garbage, repaired electricity and water is provided. Things are much better. As for gas and water, thank God everything is available. Earlier we had some difficulties, but now thank God everything is available thanks to the Syrian Arab Army.
Well, as for services, they're trying to provide them. Water is available. Electricity is available. Some phone boxes were destroyed by the armed terrorists, but the repair works are underway. As for the cleaning works, they're removing the garbage and spraying insecticides.
Al-Nazihin neighborhood started to recover, regaining security and services, so that residents would be able to return to it very soon.
The editor of the magazine Compact exposed part of the lies telecast by states and mass media concerning events in Syria. Mr. Jurgen Illiser exposed the Turkish role of instigating foreign intervention in Syria.
The editor of German magazine Compact exposed part of the fabrications and false reports by terrorist mass media financed by the United States, Western imperialism and the Gulf states. The editor focused on instigations and trading the bodies of the victimized women and children in order to arouse feelings of anger. He explained the events of Al-Hula massacre committed by gangs supported by Saudi Arabia, Qatar and the West. This massacre was utilized to wage a diplomatic war on Syria, although all the investigations proved that the massacre was committed by mercenary terrorists who belonged to Al-Qaeda. As for the dirty role of Erdogan government, the German editor explained how the Turkish warplane was utilized to instigate a NATO war on Syria. The editor asserted that the campaign of lies in the mass media continued. The massacre of Al-Hula was by far one of the most important lies and false reports.
Head of the UN Observer's mission in Syria, Babakar Gai, said that his mission continues in Syria, monitoring and the increasing violence as the opposition is attacking civilians in rural areas, raising toll of innocent people.
Targeted attacks by the opposition in urban centers are inflicting a heavy toll on innocent civilians. Our patrols are monitoring the impact of this violence, visiting internal displaced people and hospitals. This is why we have intensified our efforts to facilitate local pause to enable assistance to be provided to civilians. I deeply regret that none of the parties has prioritized the needs of civilians.
Guy called on all parties to sit together to the table of dialogue and to cease violence.
I call on the parties to cease military operations and come to the table. I am just back from a meeting with the government. I made this appeal, and we had a team who visited the opposition outside this country this week and made the same appeal.
Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki warned that the countries that interfere with the affairs of other countries in the region will be destroyed. Maliki said in a speech on the occasion of the World Youth Day that Iraq today is part of the inflamed area where the fire ignited by either ignorant people or by those who are supported by foreign policies and interests, warning that this fire does not burn only the ignorant spoilers, sectarians, but will burn everybody. He said the states that interfere in the affairs of others think they would be immune, but this will backfire on them today or tomorrow. And Maliki added that what we are hearing about security movements on our borders from all sides means that the country is still in the eye of the storm. With this, we conclude our news bulletin for today. For more news about Syria and the region, you can visit our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. And now over to our economic news with Vani after a short break.
Good afternoon. The director of Latakia Port, Hatem Al-Mahmoudi, said that productivity development and the movement through the port are being worked on by improving the integrated maritime services in accordance with modern shipping systems. He also pointed out that the port has adopted a comprehensive development plan to support its production with the completion of a number of projects. The most important ones are the new storage facilities, rehabilitation of the infrastructure and the sidewalks, in addition to the implementation of the electrical installations. Minister of Tourism Halal Nasser called for supporting touristic establishments and facilities in addition to creating the suitable atmosphere for reopening the facilities that had to close down because of the current circumstances. In a meeting with the governor of Damascus countryside, Hussein Al-Makhlouf, and others from the touristic sector, the minister pointed out to the importance of revitalizing internal and religious tourism. They discussed the difficulties and obstacles facing the sector and finding solutions for them. The yarn company in Al-Hasaka Governorate has marketed 104 tons of different types of yarns, worth over 22 million Syrian pounds. The director of the Hasaka Yarn Company noted that 33% of the monthly production plan was implemented, as the company produced over 110 tons of yarn, pointing out that the company is working on supplying the local market with high-quality strings. The company is currently testing 18 technicians, adding that 100 new candidates will also be tested during this week. Oil rose in New York, adding to a couple of weeks of gains, amid concern that political tension in the Middle East may lead to supply disruption. Futures climbed to as much as 0.9% after Iran stated that it will go on with its atomic program. Japan's Nikkei share average barely flinched as investors shrugged off data showing lower than expected GDP growth, but held off from selling on hopes for stimulus measures to boost growth. The 21-carat gold was at 3,175 Syrian pounds per gram in the local markets, down by 25 Syrian pounds, while the 18-carat gold was at 2,721 Syrian pounds per gram. However, gold rose in the international markets, continuing its gains for the 7th session amid declining hopes for economic growth, which led to backing the expectations of more stimulus measures by the central banks. And now over to the exchange rates according to the bulletin of the Central Bank of Syria. And with this we conclude our news. Thank you for watching and goodbye.